Trapmore gang, we have a massive update on the David case. Some court paperwork has just been unsealed, and we're finding out some new details for the very first time. And also, it's looking bad for David. It's looking like he's cooked. These documents look serious. It looks like a serious murder case is going to be brought against him soon, in my opinion. And I feel like this is just the beginning of the downfall. And there's still a lot of questions about why this has taken so long, why we're not seeing any arrests still. But things are officially moving forward. We're seeing documents unsealed from the grand jury. I'm going to share them with you in this video. I'm going to break them down for you. And essentially, this is basically the first official black and white, from a legal standpoint, proof that we have had that Celeste was, I don't say this in any kind of disrespectful way, but she was dismembered, chopped up. There's rumors that maybe there was even 2 different bags that the remains were left in. And this is just all really bad. It's bad news for David. It's bad news for his family that have been trying not to testify in the grand jury. I'm going to show you these documents right now. So this is the first thing that's been going around. Okay, this has been going around everywhere today. This is apparently part 1 of a set of documents that have been unsealed from the grand jury. So I'll read you the blurb about what's going on here, and then I'm quite actually happy to read you the entire document itself. There's a big thread relating to this as well. But essentially, it says this is part 1, the annotated version of legal documentation. Let me make this a little bit bigger. It says, disclaimer, the content of these documents are very graphic. This material reflects publicly accessible court filings in an ongoing investigation. Allegations discussed in court are subject to further review and have not yet been proven in a court of law. It says, I was able to get some documents in part of Burke's petition for writ of habeas corpus. I read all of it. There isn't much but this. These documents were sealed by LA County previously, but it's now unsealed due to the appeals in Texas. Whoops. Looks like David's parents, trying to avoid testifying to the grand jury, have accidentally unsealed the grand jury's paperwork against him. Big mistake. Okay, big, humongous, disgraceful mistake. This is backfired, and it's deserved. It's deserved. These guys were trying to skirt justice. They were trying to avoid any accountability for this situation. We need to know what's going on with you guys. And now you've accidentally trying to avoid accountability. You've unsealed the paperwork, so you deserve this. Honestly, you guys deserve this. So it says they were sealed by LA County previously, but they're unsealed due to the appeals in Texas. I was unable to find any additional sealing by the Texas courts, so I'm confident the Texas courts know and are fine with these documents being available to the public. There were multiple documents, but these come from the appendix supplementary material, and it was over 150 pages. Most of it doesn't tell you anything, but this is pretty much the only remarkable thing I've found. It says summary of findings. That is now here in black and white in the paperwork. Whatever you believe happened, this is something that it's unlikely, in my opinion, that one person is able to do this to what's left of a person. Let me just say it in that most sensitive way. Separate bags stacked on top of each other. It's crazy. It's messed up. The unlawful killing of a human being with malice afterthought. Now, the way that the remains were found, I think we can say there was some malice afterthought. Okay, it doesn't indicate conviction or an adjudicated finding. Okay, basically, it's the context of an ongoing grand jury proceeding and reflects the offense under review. But the offense under review is murder, clearly. Okay. Now, people are saying let's not imply things and come to conclusions that conclusions that aren't there. That's fair, but we've seen a lot. I've seen a lot that, in my personal opinion, I could say that I believe that a murder's taken place, and I think it's ridiculous. It's farcical to try and act like, oh, maybe a murder didn't take place. Maybe she just overdosed and they panicked and cut the body into pieces and put it in separate bags on top of each other in a car. In my opinion, that's not going to run. But anyway, okay, this kind of breaks down the details. Okay, it says, the stuff that we already known. Severed in a legal context. We don't know what tools were used. We don't know how the limbs were severed, but severed does mean cut apart or separated by force, and that is where the way it says the remains were found. Okay, we don't know a few things. If the head was dismembered as well, we don't know if the second bag was a cadaver bag, how the body parts were severed, if severing occurred pre or post-mortem death, the cause of death, who parked the car, what degree of murder David could be facing, if there are additional accomplices, if he's facing, if he is or will be facing one count of murder where the tools were used, if she had clothes on or not. It says, no, it also looks like the Burkes will be having to go to the grand jury. It looks like they were supposed to be at the grand jury around the same time as Neo. Also, something to note, California law enforcement was at the Burkes' hearings about this in Texas. California, this is important. I'm going to tell you more about that in a second. But California law enforcement were at the hearings. They went to Texas to try and round these fools up. And they're following up. They're going state to state following up about this. They were ready to transport the Burkes to California to attend their grand jury. They were ready to take them away, bake them away toys. All right. It says, while many of us have heard about the rumors of dismemberment, it's never been confirmed. We can now officially confirm that Celeste's limbs were indeed severed and she was found dismembered. It's sad to say I'm so sick of this. I am also sick. I believe she will get her justice in time. This is just the beginning of it. The website's giving me issues uploading the PDF of the legal docs, but I will upload it in due time. For the meantime, I'll link it on IMGA. So that IMGA link isn't working, but I'll just show you a little bit more about what this is and a little bit more information. I mean, you kind of got all of the information from the breakdown that I just gave you from the Reddit post. But basically, this is kind of giving a little bit more information. That it basically says this is for the Superior Court of the State of California for the County of LA, the people of California versus David Burke. He's the target. All right. Petition of attendance of out-of-state witnesses filed under seal. So this is a petition for David's parents to basically come and testify in front of the grand jury. But what they've accidentally done is they've revealed that this is a real deal case. All right. For the Honorable Craig Richmond, judge for the County of Los Angeles, it's basically saying that they're trying to secure the attendance of witnesses from without the state, for outside the state in criminal cases in California. So it basically reports the details of the case. There's now pending in the Superior Court of the County of Los Angeles. So these charges are pending in the court of Los Angeles. It says the grand jury investigation by the state of California against Target David Burke. Target may be involved in having committed the following criminal offenses against the state of California. 1 count of murder. So it's a count of murder. The grand jury is convened to decide if he's facing a count of murder. I assume that there's a whole lot of information that's been presented. And that potentially is what the indictment could be putting on him. Straight up murder charges. And now it's going to basically detail, it's going to detail, let me get my little magnifying up again. It's going to basically detail all the details, right? These are the details of it pending the grand jury investigation. They would only be required on the 11th of February. But basically, it's alleged in this case that the target may be involved in the death of 14-year-old victim Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who may have been a victim of foul play. Her severely decomposed and dismembered body was found in the trunk of the target's Tesla on September the 8th, 2025. And then it basically goes over all the information that we've heard, the smell of decay from the vehicle that led to a call to the LAPD detectives. They attended the impound lot. They found the body. They found a black cadaver bag covered with insects and a strong odor of decay. Now, we've not heard confirmation that that's what happened. I think it is actually really chilling. This detail about the insects just makes me sick to my stomach. We knew that, strong odor of decay, all of this stuff, but like, multiple bags, a cadaver bag. They're saying detectives partially unzipped the bag and observed a decomposed head and torso. Now, for the record, I just want to say we're all upset about the crimes against this child, Celeste. Think about the trauma that whoever is responsible for this mess, let's just say, think about the trauma that's being put on detectives, that's being put on the staff at the impound lot. Whoever is responsible for this, whoever it might be, let's see if the grand jury works it out. Whoever is responsible for this has unleashed untold destruction and trauma onto a very, very wide community of people, and it's out of line. Even if you're a homicide detective, multiple bags, dismemberment, insects, despicable. Absolutely despicable. Okay, they unzip the bag, they observe the decomposed head and torso. Upon removing the cadaver bag from the front storage compartment, it was discovered the arms and legs had been severed from the body. Second black bag was discovered underneath. Upon opening it, the dismembered body parts were discovered. So the limbs were in a separate bag. It's awful. Absolutely awful. I can't even stomach this anymore at this point. So let's see what people are saying. And I'll show you a few other updates that kind of relate to this that are basically just, suggesting that things will be developing in a pretty bad direction for the Burke family as a whole. Saying, wow, so now it's confirmed. Reading it on official court documents gives me the chills. So the investigation leans towards premeditated murder. It's definitely not like an overdose, that's for sure. I never believed it was an overdose. The songs in his demeanor were very dark and calculated facts. Right? There's no way in hell anyone would see their girlfriend of like 3 years die of an overdose and think, yeah, let me dismember her and hide her in the trunk out of panic. Nobody would do that. Well, yeah, some people do shit like that, but with everything we know, this guy's just fucking weird and evil, and it seems premeditated and out of anger. Awful. All right? Awful. These details actually make me sick to my stomach. It's so bad. So that anonymous employee from the medical examiner's office who claimed there was absolutely 3 separate bags that her body was in was telling the truth. Okay, people are saying, what else did he say? I missed the post. Let's check it out. It says, here's the important parts. Celeste remains arrived at the medical examiner's office in 3 garbage bags, one with legs, one with torso, one with the head and arms, suggesting decapitation. Tools used for dismemberment included cut marks on the bones that indicate the use of at least 3 different tools, possibly including a handsaw and an electric tool. This aligns with prior statements about farm tools being found at an LA home. The use of multiple tools suggests uh, excuse the pun, a possibility of more than one suspect. Decomposition and identification. Celeste's remains were described as soupy or waterlogged due to extreme decomposition, making visual identification and fingerprinting impossible. Her identity was confirmed using dental records. Cause of death. Due to the advanced decompositions, it's been impossible to visually determine if she'd been strangled or assaulted. The working speculation within the medical examiner's office is that Celeste possibly died from an overdose, as no obvious signs of injury like gunshot wounds were found. Okay, it's absolutely fucked. Colleen and Dawood Burke are sick individuals protecting this scum. They're just like Brian Landry's parents. It's shockingly more common than one may know with the evangelicals, but it's such a further disgrace to call yourself a follower of Christ, and your son possibly does this, and you won't help testify against to get the girl justice. They need to look back at the basics of those 10 commandments. That's facts. I wonder where he got the cadaver bag from. Well, apparently you can buy them from Amazon. I'm sure he didn't order it himself, as it was not the case with the burn cage. Okay, and I've got some more information on cadaver bags for you guys in a minute. It says, when has an overdose ever escalated to dismemberment? That's right. That's facts. How can his parents sleep at night? I bet they long for the days when their biggest issue with him was his piercings. F them. I think if her head was removed, they would have had to use the word decapitated. So I think her head was not removed. All those people that denied she was dismembered and said it fell off during the natural decomp process. How are you feeling now? Okay, nobody's feeling good about this. How heartbreaking is it to know what she went through? I'm so sure that their relationship consisted of him abusing her emotionally and mentally, on top of physically, and this was a final act of the continued abuse to use her and to use her to source sad feelings for his album. I don't think he has any emotions and sees people as objects that he can use as he likes, especially with the money he has, praying she receives the justice that she deserves. And now, how long until they arrest him and he needs to go to jail? It will probably happen after grand jury chooses what degree of murder it would fall under. The charge included was a base murder charge with the letter A, so it seems that they haven't decided on which degree yet. I think if they can't actually prove the cause of death, first degree murder might be hard for them to prove. But maybe second degree will land. But it is absolutely crazy that somebody can be found in this state with as much, you know, it's insane. So this is an interesting comment. Someone says, I'm still never forgetting that journalist who talked about how she was killed in a kitchen and David's bathroom lit up like crazy under luminol. They're saying the OG comment has been deleted, but I do think that's interesting. Doesn't necessarily mean anything for sure. People saying, great find. They're public court documents. I hope this stops the useless speculation and false information flow. But a lot of that false information has turned out to be true. This dismemberment thing turned out to be absolutely true. Okay, people are saying, so once again, why is he free? I agree. Why is he free? Heartbreaking. Okay. So we're seeing this posted in a few different subreddits that we tend to follow related to this case. You're all familiar with David too, with Dave Idiots, right? This is basically the same documents that we just saw posted there, and they're kind of reacting to them over there. People are saying, poor girl, how sad all of this is. Imagine how it must be for her family to find out. Truly, it's one thing to possibly murder someone, but then further disrespecting them after the act by removing their limbs. It is just disgusting. It's like he wanted to continue to hurt and humiliate her even after death. So there's definitely some psychological analysis behind that. How people can leave a deceased body that they killed adds a lot to the psychology profile in a criminal case. It's actually one of the first things detectives and forensic psychologists look at in serial killer cases. But the most common reason for dismemberment is in regards to transportation. The fact that he had one cadaver bag, one non-cadaver bag, mean that he underestimated what could fit into the first one. So that's a good point, which makes me wonder why he left her out in the car. The more this case unfolds, the more I'm convinced that he had a deep hate for her. Whatever reason, he wanted to get rid of her in a way that would make her feel, either make it feel even for him being hurt or feeling used. That's actually fucked. That's actually so crazy, but that might be the way it went down. So what the F is wrong with the Burke family? They knew all of this and they're still avoiding giving any information. My God, what horrible Christians. They're going to go down as similarly as Brian Landry's complicit parents. It'll be interesting seeing the unsealed documents after the case, hearing how much the Burkes knew. There was another document, maybe I should post it, was Dawood, David's father, requesting he wanted to be guaranteed not to be arrested if he were to go testify, at least in regards to not being arrested while they fly to California for the grand jury. This is the thing, if you turn out to be complicit, ain't shit you getting arrested, homeboy. Dawood, you're gonna need a county jumpsuit if it turns out that you was involved in a conspiracy, if you was part of the cover-up. Might need to throw you in the slammer too. The report made me cry. Really effed up someone did this. It is so right? By the way, while this all transpires, this guy's liking pics and gooning on Insta while his parents try and delay his fate as long as possible. Mommy, can you save me from my murder charges, mommy, daddy? Very embarrassing. Okay, very embarrassing. So I'm a little surprised to see that they're only going after one count, but I'm glad it's for the one count that actually matters. Now all they need to do is bring the rest of the Burks in for questioning. And I think there would be some kind of other crimes against children, some Jeffrey Epstein type charges, all right, if we could so help it. Now, there was actually another document that was floating around from this, and it is not a good look for David's family, okay? This is documents regarding State of California versus David Burke, also court documents from the family. So this is basically sort of documents explaining, I believe, that this is David's brother being confirmed to appear in front of the grand jury. It says you may put your right hand down. I'm going to read all this. So it's a transcript, I believe, regarding the family, basically explaining he was sworn in on the 10th of February at 8 a.m. as a witness in the investigation. Grand jury proceedings are secret. You're ordered, basically, not to disclose your grand jury subpoena to anyone but legal counsel. This is Caleb Burke. I don't know how true this is, but basically this is breaking down some of the backstory and sort of some of the discussion that apparently went on in the court. I don't know how this came out. I don't know if it's absolutely true, but this is getting posted around. And it's basically demands Dawood Burke to appear in front of the grand jury. He's fighting that, kicking and screaming. Okay, this is basically a petition for the writ of habeas corpus, basically trying to dodge being dragged in there. And basically, this is the things he's basically asking. He wants protection from arrest and the service of process, civil or criminal, in connection with matters that arose before their entrance into the state. This is Colleen Burke, so this is related to his mother, saying, "Please don't arrest my mommy. Don't arrest my mommy. She's trying to help me. She might be trying to help me cover up some crimes. Please don't arrest my mommy." It's actually hilarious, okay? This is sort of more breakdown, some more information, basically explaining about Colleen Burke's information. It's got her birth date, where she is. It says detectives learned she is the mother of target David Burke and has a close relationship with him. Per several witnesses, she's instrumental to his career success and manages his business finances. Ooh, probably going to know quite a lot of what's going on. I'd love to know. I'm sure they would have information about how his family found out about this. I would love to know how his family, how his parents, how anybody involved with him actually found out that he would be facing these heinous charges. Let me get me more centered screen. That'd be nice. So this is kind of the breakdowns of details that we already heard. I believe this is actually from that last paperwork that we talked about. It shows the dismemberment and the details, and this is basically the superior court of the state of California writ. Basically, once again, saying that there's a count of murder that is potentially on the table. Basically, it's it's not looking good for the family, and the family's dumbasses is the reason that this came out publicly. Whoopsie daisy. Whoopsie daisy, it hurt itself in confusion. You guys suck. So it says, so it confirms the report she was dismembered. Her body was found in 2 bags. Poor girl, she'd be alive today if this sicko hadn't preyed upon her and lured her away from her home and family. Nothing will bring her back, unfortunately, but I hope her killers or whoever helped hide and dispose of her remains get what they deserve. Okay, it is very sad. So they already went to court. No, these documents are in relation to the grand jury investigation. So I'll show you a couple more things. There's details about this supposed cadaver bag. Apparently you can pick these up off Amazon. I didn't know. I've never needed to know. Okay, but basically, this is a post in the New York Times that was talking about the cadaver bag that was found. People are saying he didn't do it alone. I'm absolutely certain, at least regarding the disposal. Says, I feel like it has to be Neo who helped him. Are they really offering him immunity? I think Steve Fisher is right. They botched the search warrant from the start. How the F did they leave the cameras with pics of Celeste and the effing incinerator still in the house? LAPD is trash. It was a small memory card, probably well hidden. They didn't stay longer a day, so I doubt the search was done great. Come on, let's be real. The LAPD, you're supposed to be good at searching shit, right? I don't know. All right. Steve maybe is super good at searching stuff. Maybe the LAPD needs to hire him, okay? It never was. TMZ were ridiculed for reporting the facts that we see now last year. TMZ is sometimes very accurate. TMZ is always accurate, not just sometimes. They actually have ties with law enforcement and can access certain information. They pay people really well for tips. If it's reported to TMZ, some people think it's true. Didn't TMZ tell us this a year ago? Not quite a year, but some time ago. And listen, shout out to TMZ, all right? They were fighting tooth and nail to say the dismemberment was true. Now, these are some more informations on cadaver bags. Now, you can't actually see anything here, but you can just see the tarpaulin around the edge. People are saying that that is the same type of bag. This is a bag. You can get these off Amazon for $15. I guess you can get a cheap one for $15, or you can get you can get 10 body bag. If you're buying 10 body bags off Amazon for $24. I don't know if you can see that. Just stop what you're doing. If you are even anybody that purchases, checks out this object from Amazon like that, you just go on a list immediately. I'm sorry, you actually should just go on the list. The fact that he bought a cadaver bag on purpose, in addition to the burn cage, reveals a cold and calculated mind. She was not wrapped in a clothing tarp in a panic move. All of the details are so sinister, and it's only the beginning. He knew the cadaver bag is non-porous, right? And then when you hear about the state that the body was found in, liquefaction, insects, it's just horrible. Actually horrible. Yeah, he was really buying a post-murder kit. My God, it's not mentioned how her limbs were severed, and SF said the chainsaw, it was never used. So I wonder what object was used for such a heinous act. How disturbed is this boy? And it seems he really didn't do this alone. Just imagine you say you love someone and you dismember them while looking at their face and leave them there as if they were nothing. A family needs to start speaking up to be the voice of the victim. Look at the absurdity. The state they left her in, it's disgusting. The level of premeditation is wild, okay? Now, people are basically talking about, it being 2 bags. There were rumors that it was multiple bags for a while. And saying, seeing the previous post, I can see how the picture indeed was 2 body bags versus the previous theory of a tarp by others. With the lighter backing inside the body bag, it was simply open on both of them. As you can see, one of the straps at the bottom. And we saw how that Amazon bag came in the end with the little tags on the edge of them. It's actually twisted. Okay, so I wonder who was ordering this stuff. Like, was he putting it through his own credit card, or was he going through with a tour expense account? Oh, he's ordering a coffin for the tour. Maybe he ordered a 10-pack of body bags for the tour. It's crazy, okay? It's crazy. It's crazy. It's actually insane. It's actually insane. So look, private investigator Steve Fisher has actually been wiling out on Twitter today. Shout out to him. Like a cool guy. He's posting new, never-before-seen pictures that he's been sitting on, and he calls out David. He said, hey, hashtag David, were you sitting on this hill next to a drainage gully thinking about what you did to her? Were you thinking about how it looked and sounded when you sawed the body into pieces? And then he's showing off the multiple pictures of David with this knife that we have seen before. I don't think we've seen this picture on the left before, but we've definitely seen some of these pictures before. To see. This knife has popped up several times. It is very creepy, right? It's very creepy. It says, look, I know Steve has his critics, and for good reason. I'm not defending him for the ways he's shady, but I've got to say I'm here for the public crash outs because that's how I feel right now. And he wouldn't just call out David. He would also call out Neo. He would apparently gun for Neo as well. Absolutely demolish him on Twitter. Said, like you, Neo Christopher Langston, you knew. I've seen family members publicly defend him and threaten lawsuits against anyone who names him. Sue me, I beg you. Please sue me. Give me subpoena power. Give me the power of discovery, because that may be the only way the truth comes out. I beg of you, file that defamation suit. How do people like David, Neo, and Asia live with themselves? Oh, Lee, right? He is fuming. Right, he's fuming. I'm going to do another video, but Asia, the girl, the other girl that was amongst the little love triangle, David, Neo, and Asia, she's actually taken to Reddit and done a little Q&A today, and I'll react to that in another video. But for now, I'm just leave that there. This is all too much. What the F is going on? Also, I'm not surprised that they may have messed up the initial search warrant. Seems they left behind so much stuff. He also suggested it was possible that she was alive while they dismembered her, while Dawood and Colleen Burke try and make it as difficult as possible to get justice for this child. They should be ashamed. They have a young daughter. Justice for Celeste. This is all anyone wants him. Effing sue him, Neo. But Steve would crash out on other people too. He'd crash out on the LAPD. All right. Now, look, I want to leave the LAPD alone because you never know. You never know. All right, shout out to the LAPD one time. But Steve Fisher demands answers from the LAPD over their botched investigation. He said 6 months, no charges, no press conference. But the LAPD and the district attorney's office did issue a press release stating they had the medical examiner's autopsy and the investigative findings sealed so detectives could review them first, claiming that it was not meant to undermine transparency. They got that information, yet the records remain sealed. The press release misled the public. The press release was a lie. That's what he's saying. Another press release suggested the only potential criminal culpability might be concealment of a body. They said that knowing Celeste's arms and legs had been sawn off. You came out with that press release knowing what had been done to her. They were playing games, all right? Maybe they had a strategy, but said if they do not have enough evidence to charge those responsible, then they need to say that plainly. Admit that after nearly 6 months, the investigation has not produced sufficient evidence to charge David Anthony Burke or anyone else who participated or was an accessory. Admit it's a blown investigation. Admit that important evidence was left behind after the search warrant, and admit critical surveillance was lost because nobody followed up to obtain it. Steve was talking about like he had exclusives that the police just left behind. They just forgot. Now, he says, I appreciate Scuba Steve sharing the docs publicly, and I also wonder why, as of today, TMZ has nothing on their site about David Zilch. But Scuba Steve isn't a police officer, not even an attorney. LA Magazine did a piece on what they read here on Reddit, lol. Since Gregaros owns LA Mag and TMZ Levin are buddies with the attorney Blair Burke, I guess we shouldn't be surprised. I'm still hopeful for a court date for David and an actual conviction of those responsible. Says, I've been checking all other apps all day and no one's talking about it. New York Post just dropped an article on the new docs about an hour ago. Okay. Say what you want about the guy, but he absolutely cooked with this tweet, right? It's interesting, okay? So the New York Times did actually do like a whole report on the new information that came out. So shout out to them for actually reporting on this. There's not many people that really have the balls to report on it. Sorry, New York Post, not New York Times, my bad. New York Post. You know, a lot of people have said, oh, you shouldn't talk about... No, we're keeping Celeste's name alive. We're talking about this. We're letting everybody know what's going on with this piece of dirt, basically, all right? This asshole David, all right? And it's not, this shit ain't added up. There's a David suspected of murdering Celeste Rivas after teen found dismembered in his Tesla, explosive new docs reveal. Now, I'm not going to read this to you because you already know. I've already read you the docs, but at least they're covering it too. They're actually digging into it. I'd actually never seen her headstone. That's really sad. I actually had never seen that before. There's our loving daughter, sister, granddaughter, family, Celeste Abigail Rivas Hernandez, 2010 to 2025. So sad. So sad. I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die. John 11:25. Man, that is actually so sad. I hadn't seen that before. That is so sad. Man. So look, I'll leave you with a couple more things about the family. So all of this is coming just a day after, basically, there was rumored to be a hearing for David's parents and the grand jury to be taking place. This is SF Investigates actually clarifying David's parents' court date. He said yesterday, actually 2 days ago, he said, there's a rumor going around that there's a court hearing tomorrow involving David's parents and brother about their denied writ of habeas corpus. That's not the case. Tomorrow is the day a motion for rehearing is due. In Texas, you have 15 days from the court's or the day the court 15 days from the time court's order is rendered to file a motion for rehearing. It was denied on February the 9th, and tomorrow on the 24th is the 15th day. So far, no motion for rehearing has been filed. If it's not filed, then the order stands, but there is not an actual court date tomorrow. He was saying his whole ass family and crew covering for a PDF murder is absolutely bonkers. They're all going to go down with him. All right? I think some of his family are going to go down with him. All right? Parents, maybe his brother might go down. I've got some info on his brother too, which I'm going to in it. All right? It's crazy. Okay, this is going around. It says Burke's family motions for rehearing will likely be filed electronically today in Texas. If they are not, all right, basically they're appealing that. They want a rehearing. They want another chance. Please don't drag us kicking and screaming. They're basically trying again. All right, they want to circumvent the court orders to testify the grand jury in California. And we're hearing that the investigators from California came all the way to Texas to basically try. They said, we're ready to take you. We've got the cuffs. Come on, let's take them, Judge. But it's not that time yet, okay? Now, they've slipped up and accidentally revealed this paperwork to the world. It is delightful. It has backfired, okay? And basically, they will be forced, all right? The defendants faces consequences regarding a trial court order summoning them to testify in California. Basically, jurisdiction will come back to the trial court. They're going to grab them up and take them back to Texas, all right? So it wasn't an in-person court date, as we already heard from Steve Fisher. But interestingly enough, okay, another thing that was put around was, oh, well, David's brother might not be forced to testify. He's not an adult. Well, actually, he is an adult. 18 years and 3 months. That's why he was summoned too. And we already saw some paperwork about him being summoned and him being an adult. But this is making it official. This actually says here, Caleb Burke is an adult. The prosecution will provide the witness a round-trip airplane ticket and transportation to... So they're going to be given an airport ticket and scooped up and picked up at the airport just to come and testify about this nonsense. It is actually insanity, okay? But look, that's all of the updates that I had for you guys for now, okay? I will keep you guys updated. If this paperwork turns into a genuine indictment for murder, you know I will update you guys. But I think this is a big step, and David's family are a whole bunch of dummies for slipping up. They're trying to fight, oh, we don't want to testify. Oops-a-daisy. Now we got the paperwork. You guys are fools. So I'll keep you guys updated. It is crazy, and I think justice is coming soon. So I'll keep you posted. Thank you for watching.